Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We got a big day ahead of us. Why? Because we just received some data and I wanted to talk about it first off in the video as people might not be watching this live. So tune in for this little part here. We see non-farm payrolls going up to about 142K. If you remember, we said we do not want to see that number go down. But the key thing here was this number can be manipulated, and most likely this is a manipulated number. Why do we think that? Well, because this used to be a really high number and now it's only 89K. So just remember the revision, taking that down can matter to some people. We noticed that the unemployment rate, though, very, very important there, coming down to 4.2. Now, with this type of behavior, it's kind of like I take this with a grain of salt, but there are times where unemployment does consolidate before breaking out one more time. So this is a moment where this data looks pretty damn good for the market, in my opinion. And as I read through these, I mean, I can take my take these into consideration, but for the most part, you would just say these are the most important numbers right here. Non-farm payrolls and unemployment. We do notice unemployment is coming down and non-farm payrolls technically went up as far as right now before it is revised again. Just take it with a grain of salt there. It gets revised every time. Notice the little R getting revised. Okay, used to be a high number, now it's low. So this is probably going to be the next time we talk about it, this is probably going to be the next number that gets revised next month. So with this type of data, this would be overall a good thing, I would think, for the market. And as we look at what's going on, I just have Nvidia up on your screen. You're seeing that so far up 1.21%. We have some pretty big implied volatility for the day in a lot of stocks, one including Palantir, so that thing could see a good move. But the most bullish one, the best setup one, the one that kind of said I'm already looking like I want to go higher was Meta. And notice that Meta's already up about 1%, so I really like that one as well. As we look through that, we got to pay attention to the SPY. We got to pay attention to the dollar. The dollar did drop off and then immediately turn the other direction. Okay, it dropped all the way back down to these lows and then immediately turned back around in the other direction. So we're paying attention to the dollar right here. If we see that dollar start to extend higher while the market actually continues to go in the upward direction, that's what we're going to be paying close attention to today. We have a big range, so make sure that these are on your charts. 557.64 to the upside for your daily upside expected move, and 541.58 to the downside for that daily expected move to the downside. All right, so that is your 68% zone, and notice the Qs, we have that similar place there, 469.52 to the upside, and we do have 452.56 to the downside. As of right now, the Q is actually opening up a little bit down. So interesting to see that as we go forward. One key thing here is really paying attention to the dollar, though. Seeing that curl up on a 2-hour means that the dollar can start to move in that upward direction. We'll see what happens with that. If this is just going to be some kind of blip up and then we see that turn back down, maybe create another 2-hour divergence for us. At this point, though, we're paying attention to something on the bigger time frames, being the daily scale, seeing if that can create some kind of divergence, or maybe seeing that on a 4-hour chart. This would not be considered divergence at this level, but if that 4-hour turns up, you see how close it is to positive territory. So if that 2-hour gains enough steam, it could start to break through, cross up this MACD and go positive. That will be a sign for some kind of higher low from the dollar, which means we got to be weary about any kind of upward price action. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Thank you for liking the stream. Really do appreciate it. I hope we have a good day ahead of us. I think we will. And so it's Friday. It's right before the weekend. We got to enjoy our weekends. Just so you know, because of the craziness of this week, I'm not touching the course. I know that I keep saying it's ending, but for the most part, I'm just going to leave that up for the weekend, and whoever wants to snag it over the weekend, because we're so close to a weekend, I like people to be able to learn. So I'm just going to leave that sale down in the description. You can get both courses right now in the description for $150 total, right? That is a huge discount. That's like saving yourself $2,000 pretty much right there. So make sure to grab that. We saw this type of price action. We see this downfall. I think it's justified to see, as volatility is higher, that we could see more volatility come in, and these type of markets are when I really like to have some kind of sale, especially on the using technical indicators course, the one that teaches you about ranges and divergences and really everything you probably need to know in order to trade. Now, one thing you did notice from the 2-hour chart was that did not confirm upside, so still consolidating as far as it goes on the 2-hour. The 30-minute popped up, dropped right back down, so we are seeing that spike down dramatically. And I think another thing that will be important is paying attention to that PCC, and we're noticing the dollar kind of losing steam at these levels. So we'll see what's going to happen with these going forward. If you need those daily expected moves for any stock that you're looking at, pretty much any stock that we cover on this channel, we do give out those daily expected moves every single Thursday night. So you should have those on your chart. We posted those last night. As of right now, the SPY showing the divergence that has confirmed. So on the 2-hour chart, we're seeing if this thing can curl up today, and I think that's going to be the big signal. One thing that's really close to turning up, and why I will probably keep looking over at it, is Nvidia. Nvidia is looking very, very close to curling up into positive territory. So that is why I am going to check on Nvidia a lot today. Another one was AMD. AMD very close to crossing as well, sitting rather flat at this moment. Tesla, the most likely thing from here was, hey, upside according to your indicator, but is this a time for a good trade setup? Not necessarily. It looks like you need a 2-hour pullback, if not at least a 30-minute pullback at some point here. Maybe we're just going to test that level one more time. You test those levels back to back. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. We just need to see if that's going to project itself to higher levels, and I left my coffee on my other table. Dang it. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. Still here. Still here. Still here. I'm still here. I gotta chug some coffee this morning. Woke up real early for that data. I think my brain was focused on it. All right, that's good. Good stuff. Let me get some stuff set up here, and we are good to go. Ready for that open in about 4 minutes, but the data looking pretty good to me. What about you guys? What do you guys think? Well, I know that we have some speeches going on, right? We do have some speeches going on with Fed Williams, Fed Waller, but for the most part, I think they would want to take the tone of Jerome Powell, and Jerome Powell really still sounded very soft landing. I don't think they changed that tone. Most of them voting for only a 0.25 cut, so we can pay attention to that 25 basis point cut. So that's mainly what they're probably going to say. They would say that's justified, maybe 1 or 2 more cuts before the end of the year. So I don't think that would be, but that can add some fuel to whatever fire is going on. Tesla, yeah, we can go talk. I mean, Tesla still is just, it's heading to the upside, but you can tell this is like, hey, I need a 30-minute pullback at some point. I need a 2-hour pull. It pretty much just tells me I'm not going to be chasing. Unless I was like investing in this for the long term or something like that, I wouldn't be chasing anything in this area as a trader, just because this could pop up one more time and just start to drop off. But is what it is. If you have longer term stuff, you can wait for this 2-hour to turn over before, because daily momentum could take over. Every single day in the first 10 minutes, I get hiccups. Because you see, we could experience a 30-minute or a 2-hour pullback with a couple of days, but then that daily might not even cross back down, right? So the daily has crossed up, meaning the most likely thing for Tesla is upside. Something like Nvidia, it's most likely not upside, right? This could just be some kind of bounce at this point. So that's kind of the difference there. It's like Tesla's already made the big move. Things like Nvidia are waiting to see what happens, it seems. Dollar really starting to scale up still, so we'll see if that can hold at higher levels. That reacted way down and then reacted right back up. So if people are reading into the whole revision thing, then that would be interesting. Google, I like the look of Google as well. I actually took a peek at that this morning. I didn't mind this look for a 2-hour cross up. Is that just going to be some kind of bounce that leads to a downturn? Most likely, by the way. Just most likely, if this can not have really too much divergence. Like, I know it has divergence across on the bigger time frames, but you need those to confirm, so you're going to need a lot of price action. There is an opportunity for this to go something like this and then see that upside. I would kind of like that look. As we go up in the time frames, this is where you can look at a 4-hour. If that 4-hour can confirm, then you would say, okay, we might be off to the races. We might be seeing a daily curl up at that point, right? Daily divergence is there too. So that's why I'm saying, like, the shorter term on like a 2-hour or 30-minute, you can get some pop and drop. But if you pay attention to the bigger signals, and this is pretty strong, you can see a 4-hour cross. If that 4-hour crosses, it's a pretty high probability that that daily will cross at that point, and that pretty much just get above this level, start that positive trend up again. I think Nvidia looks pretty decent for at least a 2-hour crawl up. I mean, it's up to your trade, right? I can't really say. I'm someone who manages trades myself very closely, right? So I'm not going to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I would say if the 2-hour crosses up, I can hold on to that for a little bit. But if the 30-minute crosses down, there's no way I'm taking more upside if this 30-minute crosses down. That's what I have to say. All right, we have the open happening here. Here we go. We have the uninversion taking place again. So we are uninverted, all right? We are uninverted. You see here the 10-year is higher than the 2-year, so we are uninverted at this point. The SPY trying to head in an upward direction. We see this on the 30-minute chart, that little divergence there proving itself. Rejection divergence for the Q. Still waiting to see if that has some positivity behind it. Jobs data makes no sense. And once again, they revised down non-farm payrolls. Exactly. That's kind of the point, is like, this is something that can get people bullish for the moment. But if you just take, if a lot of people take into consideration that this data is always revised and unemployment is still sitting at 4.2, and what if that's wrong too, right? What if that's just a fake number too? If enough people think that way, you can actually see another downturn. We'll see, but as of right now, you're just paying attention to the signals, right? You're paying attention to the reaction of the data. That's it. If the SPY turns up on a 2-hour, good things. And a way that we can see if the SPY or like the Qs are going to turn up, follow something like Nvidia. If Nvidia is able to really curl up and see some positivity, that can be a pretty solid move. Let me go over here. I got to pull these up real quick. No. Yes, there we go. All right, we'll see what this has in store for us today, if we're going to see something crazy or not. I have the daily expected moves up over here, so we'll see what happens. Not too much volatility in something, implied volatility in something like Nvidia. Nvidia looks like it has about a 4-point move, which I guess is a pretty good amount for a move, right? That's still about 4% from where it was at. So we'll see what happens from there. Something with a little bit more implied volatility was something like Palantir. Now that's going to seem like a smaller move, but Palantir has a lot of implied volatility. That looks almost like divergence. If not, this is a pretty good higher low. But the divergence is not necessarily there, but this was a pretty good higher low. If that's able to curl up into positive territory for the 2-hour, this could be a good sign for Palantir for even a few days, right? That crossed down, see if this thing can cross back up. So we'll see if that has some positivity left in it. Looks like we could go for a little run here if we curl up some daily MACDs, if we curl up some 2-hour MACDs first. Okay, so we have to curl these 2 hours up, but this guy had some implied volatility, and you're seeing that get some price action to the upside at this moment. Something that happened was Bitcoin tried to explode higher with a 2-hour divergence again here. We'll see if this one's actually able to play out. As we look at a 4-hour, we see there's divergence across all of this. As we go into something like a daily, that could start to curl up the daily scale. Now, that's not necessarily divergence, but it would be a higher low, and then we'll see if that's able to go to a higher price point than the last time at this point. But we'll see, because it has to break through this little zone right here. Nail seeing some upside pressure as of right now. We want to look at the housing sector for that. So we go over to the housing sector. That'll open up in a little bit. That's when we'll do our overall analysis there for some housing market stuff, some housing sector, some home builders and all that good stuff. Oh, I like yawned and hiccuped at the same time. So I think 2-hour charts are your friend, and when you look at something like Apple and you see that thing curling up, you're just going, it needs to break through 225.84, but if that can curl up into positive territory, that could be a good sign. What's going on, boys? Okay, Bruce just like ran around for a second. Tesla is still a 30-minute pullback, most likely thing here, and you're noticing that pop up, and now we're starting to drop off, so moving sideways would make sense too. Amazon, let's go look at that, as that one was a little bit worrisome. 30-minute divergence at the high. So we'll see if that's able to turn down. That could mean we're going to see a 2-hour pullback would be the most likely thing here. I think it's important to wait and see what that PCC opens up at as well. Dollar going up and the market going up. Yeah, the dollar is green while the market is, or while the SPY is green. The Qs are down though, just so you're aware. Now the SPY has other stuff in it, so that might be why that is taking place. I'd like to see both. I'd like to see both be green, to be honest. Seeing things like XLU and stuff like that go up means, hey, the dollar could be going up while safety stocks or something like that is going up. All right, there we go. We're set up. Lucy's doing something cool. Let's go check on Lucy for a second for fun. There you go. Cross up, positive territory. We like it. I bet that hourly is really close. Oop, I bet that hourly is really close to the center line. Yeah, kind of flaggy, but ended up breaking to the upside. Not bad. I'd wait. Like, seeing that 2-hour curl up would make me feel better about it. All right, SPY actually seeing some bounce to the upside at this moment. See what's carrying that so far. Looks like we have Meta up 1.16%. Remember, this is the one that probably had the best look, was something like Meta. Already curled up on the MACD, some slight divergence on the RSI, some slight, looks like divergence here for the MACD as well. So this would be one that can start to turn things up. We'll see what happens with this going forward. If there's some kind of little daily curl up, you know, what if people get baited in for just a moment here, and we'll see a reversal signal later on. So we'll still pay attention to reversal signals, but as of right now, as 2 hours are curling up, that's something I would really be paying attention to. AMC and GME need to curl up on these 2 hours. Seeing that already curl up for AMC, just need to follow through with some GME stuff as well. So right now, it looks like, yes, we do have a growing dollar while the SPY is continuing to head up. I'd like to see the Qs be able to get positive there, and the Dow actually showing, hey, I could curl up on a 2 hour as well. So this looks pretty real for the time being, but we are seeing that, and that's why by end of day, I need to look at the dollar and see, is the dollar extremely positive while everything else is? That could be enough to actually convince me, like, hey, be a little bit cautious over the weekend. Doesn't mean I have to take everything off. I might just take some profit if that is there for me. I think it was SMCI was down. Yeah, I wanted to look at this. SMCI down again here, really dying off. Bitcoin, if that sees positivity, things like Mara can see positivity as well. Snow, we can go look at Snow real quick. Snowflake here. Trying to curl up with this rejection divergence. We'll see if that's able to prove itself. I think if you look here, you're going to see a nice 4 hour, right? 4 hours can be used sometimes, and that is trying to curl up as of right now. So if you see a strong bar here, that would be a nice setup to say, hey, this daily scale might turn up. What's the cool thing about the daily scale here for Snow? Well, it does have a bunch of divergence here. It pretty much, I would say, triple divergence across, and we'll see if that can turn up. If that can turn up, Snow might be a good opportunity for a longer term buy, because that can be the deadness and momentum can lead to a pretty good flowy positive trend. Feels like it might be a dump on later on today. Well, that would be with the dollar as of right now. So we'll pay attention to the dollar. For the most part, you're seeing us start to dump right now, and the dollar is scaling up dramatically. All right, dramatically scaling up there for the dollar. So as of right now, I'd be paying attention to if volatility can turn up on a 2 hour, maybe even a 1 hour, right? That 1 hour down by the center line, even though it looks kind of like a double top here, we want to pay attention to it. A little bit lower on that double top, so we'll pay attention. Right now, that hourly is confirmed down. See if that hourly can swing back up. For the SPY, the hourly is just now turning up. Okay, so even though you're seeing that thing happen, we can see that take place for a long time today, even going into next week. So dollar is scaling up dramatically, saying, hey, there's a lot of things happening behind the tape, behind the curtain right now. You might have some selling in things like the SPY, I guess you would say the Qs, right? Tech looks like it's selling off. Tech looks like it's selling off. The 30-minute crosses here, it's not going to be a good sign, and the most likely story for that would be downside if that crosses. Gold is falling again. Gold here, able to make that big move up, get past some breakdown areas, and then kind of give a lower high. I wonder if that is telling of what's to come with the market soon, but we'll see going forward. Tesla did need this pullback, so we'll see what's happening, but that might add up to more than a pullback at this point. Nvidia now down 1.24%, so that is something to pay attention to as well. The SPY is overall what I'm looking at. The Qs on the 30-minute, if that crosses down on that MACD, then the most likely story is, hey, we might be heading for something down in these levels at 452.56. Yeah, Palantir looked good, then unconfirms, right? So unconfirming today. Let's see if that went up towards a daily expected moves. Looked like it could have headed a little bit. It could have headed a whole $1.50 higher than that as of right now, but confirmed all the signals and then just rotating right back down. Very interesting to see that and see something like nail actually hold. So the HGX is going to be something to pay attention to in a moment. But that dollar is scaling up pretty dramatically. Did it cross up on a 4-hour? That's what you need to see. If that 4-hour crosses like today, I think that would be a sign for me to be like, hey, take all exposure out, right? Because my cash is going to be more valuable maybe if that 4-hour turns up. So sitting in cash would not be a bad thing at that point. Doesn't mean if I'm not seeing signals, then I'm not going to take downside. But it does mean, hey, if that dollar is scaling up very quickly, crossing on that 4-hour, and I might want to think about it because this 2-hour is scaling up pretty quick. All right, that's a pretty quick move for the 2-hour. We'll see what happens with it by the end of the day. Good stuff. My goodness, my goodness. Let's go into 30-minute charts. Remember, 30-minute crosses down for the Qs. Even worse than this can happen. As of right now, you maybe even go into a short time frame like the 15 minutes, see that curling down. If that could curl right back up, that's the kind of thing you're looking for. If it confirms down on the 30-minute, hey, you're heading for that 452.56. That's the most likely thing to happen. And then you would be outside of a monthly zone, which means you have a 68% chance to land above that by the end of the month. Volatility on the 30-minute trying to scale back up. We'll see what happens with this going forward. IWM looking like a better signal. Really, IWM had better signals down here than a lot of things, right? It's very curvy, very nice. And then the 30-minute is what we overall pay attention to. Seeing that upward pressure there, upward on the RSI, just barely. So we'll see if that can turn things around. But really, we're just being patient, waiting for 2-hour curl ups, and we'll be good. As of right now, curling down. So if that 30-minute does curl down, okay, downside, right? We said this in the video last night. 30-minute down, bad. 2-hour up, good for the Qs. Hope everyone's having a good day out there today. Hopefully no one got beat up by taking some kind of YOLO play into some big data, but for the most part, we're sitting within range, right? We have a lot of implied volatility today, so I would expect some little rip around moves, some move up, some move down, right? This move from Palantir, weirdly enough, makes total sense because volatility is higher, so you're going to see some swinging type moves. Gold, if that crosses down and we see a big move down, that makes total sense. Nvidia, if that crosses down on a 30-minute, doesn't it it just makes sense. This is all consolidation at that point. But is this just a move to take out some stop losses and then end up turning the other direction? Well, you'll know that that was the case if the 2-hour is actually able to curl up, right? If that 2-hour can curl up, you can see good things. So it's kind of like, I don't want to try to guess. I want to just say if that 30-minute crosses down, we got some downside. Maybe we go down to like 102, right? 102 would make sense. It's the bottom of our zone. But if that 2-hour crosses up, then most likely over the next couple of days, we might end up towards something like a 119. My gosh. AMD, are you curling down? AMD is curling down as of right now. Now, this is why I don't like AMD. It's such a, like, look at that. It's so terrible. Just terrible price action, or terrible look for your indicator. Now, Google looked like a good play, but if that 30-minute does rotate down, you got to say, ooh, that can get a little bit ugly, right? Maybe you hold this little tapering here for the most part, but maybe that's what that move is. If you don't hold that, you might go back to doing something a little more dramatic and end up down towards 153.87. Yeah, I saw that the dollar drop off dramatically with that info, which actually I think is correct with that info. But like I said, if people take into consideration the revisions, that's going to be a big deal, right? The revisions are a big deal because you can't really trust the number that we got. Stock market crash is trending. All right, just we'll see. It's literally 14 minutes in, but everyone on Twitter kind of exploding right now. Let's go check on that. Let's go read what people are thinking. Stock market crash. It is actually kind of trending. I mean, I mostly see people selecting, like putting out certain stocks. Certain stocks are seeing more downside than others. But I don't think, nothing that I'm seeing is actual like info. Interesting. Still a big indicator is something like Nvidia, so we'll see if this thing can turn up. Remember, there is some pretty big implied volatility today, so if that wanted to turn down by 1.5%, that's perfectly fine. We'll see what that is by the end of the day. And then we can make a decision for what things look like at the end of the day and say, do we want to hold on to these things as the dollar keeps going? The dollar is going right now. But volatility, we'll see if that can turn up. See if the Dow can turn up, see if the SPY can turn up, see if all these things turn up. We need these things to really start to all be positive to say a rigged move is coming. Yeah, I love when stock market crash is trending on Twitter and you go look at the stock market, it's down, it's up 0.05 actually. All right, PCC came out, coming up to 1.06 at this moment. So at that moment, you would just say, okay, the dollar is higher. We have a lot of puts and calls. Maybe we do see that continued difference between the dollar, or that continued positive correlation with the dollar and the market. We'll also see if that dollar can fall off at some point. But right now you would say, all right, we know that that's happening. Most likely there's a lot of puts there, so they probably don't want to send stocks down. So maybe they actually send stocks to the upside. We'll see what happens with this going forward. But for the most part, coming in at 1.06 and moving, by the way. This thing is kind of moving right now, so we'll keep an eye on it for the most part. Let's get something like TLT. TLT looks kind of toppy here as well. And we inverted again. So we're kind of just, it seems like throughout every single day, we're going to be going inverted, uninverted, inverted, uninverted. This is why I don't play the market on data. Exactly. You can wait till the end of the day, see what things look like, and then make a decision. Expiry is a month. Well, expiry is a month out, so 4 weeks from when I took the position, pretty much. And the area is towards 120. So it's kind of just a $500 little play towards 120 to see if we can get there, because it was cheap. So if we get a big reaction from this, that's when I could make some bank, just if it hits that target pretty much, or if it makes enough money by the time it's at like 116. Took more further out, so I didn't have to use as much cash. Want to stay for the most part cash heavy. SMCI ripping to the downside. Yeah, SMCI not having the best look here. The only real good look is, I think it's on the daily scale. Yeah, you have some divergence on the daily scale, but that needs to see some positivity to really form that. Yeah, the market looks funky, but the Dow is kind of just screaming higher, and we've really followed the Dow as well. So if the Dow is able to curl up on a 2-hour, I'd say the market's probably short to follow behind. And that's where we don't necessarily, like, I know the dollar is higher, but the SPY is even and the Qs are down. So I'd like to see both of these be green and the Dow be green. I'd like to see it all green at the same time, then see that dollar green as well. Yeah, VIX is holding those lows, paying attention to like a 30-minute and stuff like that as well, but the 2-hour curling up's the main signal. That's true. What's fear greed looking like today? Very neutral. We're in a neutral area here. First time forecasters are, so this is a good update, and maybe this is why you're seeing it. Forecasters are favoring a 50 basis point rate cut versus a 25 basis point rate cut. 52, it's pretty much cut 50-50. So you kind of have a 50% chance of seeing a 50 basis point rate cut now, which is not going to be a good thing. Remember, that's what we said. If they start to up those, that's not going to be a good thing. So maybe they need those people to come out and speak for a moment. Maybe they need Fed Williams, maybe they need Fed Waller to come out and speak a little bit this afternoon. It's probably a lot of those revisions. Yeah, I saw that, and everyone's like, it's controversial and stuff like that, Robert. But I'm just like, I saw the picture. I spent time with my wife instead. I didn't go over to my buddy's house like I was supposed to, but yeah, I saw the picture, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, his toe's on the line. I don't get why that's controversial. But I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't read into it. I just saw a picture with his toe obviously on the line. QQQ losing support as of right now. That's what I just read, and it is losing these levels. Gotta watch out for divergence still, though, weirdly enough. Apple. Tesla. Amazon. Ooh, Amazon. Don't curl that down. What would be the entry price? Whatever the price is when this 30-minute base is out and curls back up, that would be the entry price. Use your indicators, right? That's all we're doing here. We're just using indicators to tell us what price is good and what price is bad. It's more of a dump. You can always just like keep, right? We have volatility in here, so this could still be sideways price action. PCC jumped to 1.07 now, so still up towards 1.07, so the put side being pretty heavy there. That's why I want to see if the dollar starts to rotate down. I think the dollar rotating down would be very interesting, as that rotated down very quickly. I think this should be, I mean, overall you would say this looks like good data, but since they're pricing in those higher rate cuts, I mean, like I said, if they have to react to data and cut the rates really dramatically for some reason, that's when you should be scared of some weakness. Yeah, I saw the Adam Aaron tweet and I was reading into it and I was just like, why is this even being said? Seems strange. I was like, I get it, cool, but are you saying like that there's not an issue or the correction was correct? Like, I don't know. What's going on, Freddie, is we just got some data. The dollar is scaling up. The market is going down. So the 30-minute for the Qs is what we're paying attention to. Looks like the direction has been chosen for now. We'll see if that can hold up at like a monthly expected move. But if that starts to confirm down, then downside is the most likely option. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. I felt like it was pointless. That little comment by him seemed almost pointless, like just a random thing to cause some talking points for a while. Yeah, Freddie, and that's the main thing we're watching. So same thing goes for things like Nvidia, right? 30-minute curls down, not a good sign. Probably things like AMD, obviously that's not a good sign. Meta even, if Meta curls down on that 30-minute, look at that thing, not a good sign. Microsoft curls down on 30-minute, not a good sign. Even though it has decent signals, Google curls down, not a good sign. So Google looking like it wants to head to lower levels. Let's check our daily expected move for that. Looks like it is heading pretty much towards a daily expected move, about $1 off or so. AVGO blown up. AVGO. Let's go look at Broadcom real quick. Whoa, earnings not good. Well, apparently it was good, but they must have said something bad, and that's why you gotta hate earnings, right? So big move down off the earnings. Sketchy play there. Volatility, you got to see if that can at least shift up. I'd say first on a 30-minute. Now, you curl up once, you fail. You curl up twice, you fail. You curl up a third time, might mean there's a little more in there for you. But you got to be patient. You got to wait for those curl ups and curl downs. You got to be patient because the dollar can start to come off and we can start to see the dollar actually down while the market is down. That would be nice. That'd be nice to get that little hint. I still think the Qs are the main thing to watch. Sorry, I'm clicking around a bunch. CMG, let's go look at that real quick. Is that some Chipotle? Chipotle getting a nice move to the upside as of right now. If that 2-hour can curl up, I think it might have a good chance as the RSI is above that center line, as the MACD is lagging behind, and as the price action takes everything back. That's a good sign. If you can get through this level cross up on that MACD, continued positivity, looks like maybe a test the high, go make a new one situation. Then you got to watch out for a divergence for a bigger pullback maybe, but for the most part, looks like positivity from here. A lot of volatility today, so just pay attention. This has to hold, and then you could consolidate. You could consolidate still in some way. But I like that look from the 2-hour there. You can even probably switch into an hourly, but the hourly is going to be pretty deep. Let me go look at something real quick. Looks fine. Looks good. Sure. Got it. So 30-minute curl down here, not going to be a good sign. Same thing goes for the Dow. Even though the Dow actually looking decent here, we still have to get that curl up of the MACD, unfortunately. So looking at the dollar, yes, that has shown a big move to the upside, and it's crossed up on that MACD, so that's key. It has crossed up, but are you going to get this to go down for a little bit today? We'll see. As of right now, the 30-minute for the volatility is what I'd be paying attention to. If that, like I said, you know, you try once, fail. You try twice, fail. You try 3 times. Maybe that is a big moment for volatility. We'll find out. PCC now at 1.12. So if the market maker wants to be sneaky, they end up making these prices for stocks go higher. If they want to be sneaky. Excuse me. Yo, I hit my stop target real quick. Plus $70 in 3 minutes. Hey, we like that. Little wins like that are good too. Little wins off these guys are good, right? You can play a little daily expected moves and things like that. But as that 30-minute tries to curl up, you got to say, it would like to go test something like 938. But I think your overall signal you're waiting for still is going to be that 2 hour to curl up. And that thing's pretty deep. Like, this thing is not looking as good. You had a major 2 hour divergence here. Very good sign that the daily is rolling over. It did. And I just want to see that RSI. You do have divergence across the way. So this could be a big moment where there's actually a bigger downfall than this happening. Obviously, that can take time, but it would say, you know, over the next month or so, you will see a lower price than this one. Nvidia dropping down even lower as of right now. I think it's able to cross now. There's that cross of the MACD on the 30-minute. has crossed down for this MACD here. But we'll see if that can turn back up. But as of right now, you would say 30-minute crossing down that's the most likely thing to happen, is more downside. As we go check our weekly expected moves, we can see that Nvidia is almost right at one, right? Or daily expected moves. We can see that Nvidia is pretty much right at one. Nvidia has been below its weekly expected move pretty much all week, but as of right now, looking like it's going to test in about $1.50 a downward daily expected move that you can get over on Patreon in the description. Looks pretty interesting. Let's see if that was enough to get the Qs to curl over. They're curling over, hitting their head on the monthly expected move. Now we got to see, is that the target? That's what the options market predicts is the only amount for downside that we have priced into the options market. So now we have to see, is this going to prove to be a little something as the dollar kind of starts to fade just a tiny bit? We'll see what happens with that. We have a high PCC. We have the yields that just keep going back and forth between inversion, uninversion. We have the dollar trying to scale up, but starting to fall just a little bit. We'll see what happens with that. We have the housing. This is something to follow, guys. The housing sector is something to follow. It can give you a good indication of what assets want to do. So this is telling us, hey, that's a strong move and it is holding. So that means home builders actually might curl up on that 2 hour and they might go test this high and go make a new one. And that is a massive cup, a massive handle. So this could be a pretty big upside move, right? Let's take it, let's be a little generous, not really giving too much to the high, just kind of taking it from the actual green bar there. 200, you could see this go all the way up to 200 for nail. If you see that full extended move, obviously you got to pay attention to the signals within it to see if you need to sell anything. But for the most part, you would say that looks like a good upward move. Gold falling off, but is that going to be long term, right? Is that going to really keep happening? Well, gold can fall off if that is going to be the dollar scaling up, right? That's the most of the time. God, I can't talk today, I feel like. Most of the time, that's what you see. You'll see the dollar make a strong move, and that kind of puts a damper on gold. So we'll have to pay attention to that going forward. Dow still positive. IWM still showing some reversal signals, but starting to get rid of those a little bit. If that 30-minute crosses over, that's not going to be good at all today. We'll see what happens. As of right now, it looks like you got that 30-minute divergence to confirm. Now you're having to maybe manage that trade in a moment, and then this could just pop down for a brief moment, see that 15-minute curl right back up. That's what I'm going to be looking for here from IWM as far as right now goes. We'll see if that proves to be anything as we go forward. Nvidia, right, curling down on that 30-minute. But we'll see if that's able to hold as it's going towards a weekly expected move. Qs, I think this is something important to watch at this moment. Touching that monthly expected move, I think this is probably the most important thing to watch this morning. Yeah, Palantir has a ton of implied volatility today. It has, okay, so if you didn't know, let me just read it for you. I'll read off some of the implied volatility for today for some stocks that you guys like, and I'm going to start with a big one. All right, that would be Palantir. Palantir does have 147% implied volatility for the day. So that thing can really rip around. Then as we move forward, AMC's got a good amount, as always. I think it was IWM has a good amount. And then you have stuff like AMD has a good amount. And then you have stuff like Tesla has a good amount, 68.8%. So you do have a lot going on today as far as implied volatility goes. But we could also say this, is this the target of the market maker right now, that monthly expected move? That's as deep as we're supposed to go in the month of September. Think how put off people would be if we actually went higher. That would be interesting. I mean, I want to pay attention to the dollar dropping off, but I'm just kind of making a fun note in my head, just kind of having a conversation with myself going, but like, what if everyone was scared in September, and you kind of like base out and you just go higher? That would take everyone off guard, right? The media is feeding that crash thing. Tom Lee is feeding the crash thing. I always said, Tom Lee, yeah, you can follow him because, hey, it seems for whatever reason, most likely insider info, he does have the right play. And now you need to pay attention to the time that he is wrong, because that could be the whole plan here, is get you to believe Tom Lee all the time. And then you end up seeing him kind of wrong. Right? Now, he might be right by the end of the month, but for now, we would say he's saying crash all September, be careful for 8 weeks. It's like, okay, well, what if we just end up doing this for all of September? Yeah, you know, what if we just do that? So we'll pay attention to it. I think something like this could take place, and maybe that's more what he's talking about by the end of the month. That's a 30-minute chart, a 2-hour chart, right? Something like this does take place. Maybe we go, then we curl up at the end of the month. That would be a good look. I would love that look. I would buy that with both hands. Yeah, so as far as AMC and GME goes, just so GME goes. As far as that goes, what you mainly need to know there is just, if these assets see major weakness, they are the collateral in order to keep borrowing shares, in order to suppress AMC and GME. So what can end up happening is, if their collateral gets damaged, meaning it's less value, then they might have to sell stock too, because they might get called on that. They might get a margin call. They might have to pay more in order to keep borrowing those shares. So we'll see what happens with that. But right now, if your collateral gets damaged, then you have to produce more collateral in some way, aka cash or whatever, which means maybe they have to sell positions in AMC and GME in order to actually pay for that as well. Maybe they have to stop, you know, short selling. So that's just, it's kind of what I'm paying attention to. Do I think that's the most likely thing in the world? We'll see. I would more so just be looking for AMC at any time that wants to actually turn up on a daily scale. AMD is garbage. I could not agree more. I think that this stock has been just a terrible one to trade for the most part. It gives a great signal right here, and then it just doesn't fully play out. Gives another good signal way up here. It doesn't fully play out. So I tried to trade this a few times over the last 6 months. Seemed like every time I traded it, it took me 3 managements of the trade to get a winning trade, and then it's pretty much just, you know, making 10% at that point. So when you have to manage 3 times in a row and then finally win, it's not going to be a beneficial one. So you want to more so be looking for those ones that will play out, and AMD looks like a stock that's just, it can make a good signal. It's made good signals. It's just a lot of the time you see all these curl ups, curl downs. You have to manage a lot throughout all this in order to go to the upside, right? So that's why I'm paying attention to it. But this wasn't the worst signal in the world, but you just saw a major update afterwards and it completely falls flat. The last time I really liked the signals were down here. 2-hour signal down here was the best one. But yeah, I do not like myself some AMD, that's for sure. Now, if we are crashing, then why is Apple able to hold up a little bit better? Is this going to curl up on a 2-hour? We can use certain stocks to give us a hint. Things like Apple, things like Nvidia, things with big weight, things like maybe Microsoft or Google. What's Microsoft doing? It's still holding pretty strong, and if that curls up, we can see positivity. So we can use those kinds of stocks that hold a big weight to see what's going to happen going forward if anytime some momentum kind of shifts up. Sirius XM Holdings. Retail all bought this because Warren Buffett got into it, so they're going to push it lower. The daily scale here has rolled over. The most likely thing was downside when that daily scale turns down, right? Very likely. Also, I just got an itch to play Final Fantasy VIII. That sounds like fun. Sorry, that was ADHD to the max, but I'm itching to play some Final Fantasy. I'm gonna do that this weekend. Inverting, uninverting, inverting, uninverting, inverting, uninverting. We'll see what this ends up doing. For now, I think the main signal here is the dollar. I think we really got to watch this thing on the 4 hour. If this thing curls up today, I'm not going to have any risk in the market. I'm going to get out of my Nvidia position no matter where it's at. I will not be holding on to stocks. I will be mostly in cash at that point. I don't necessarily see any play setups, like any kind of good setups or anything like that, to take a downward position just yet. So I'd really like to see a bounce, see that difference in the dollar. That way I can get into a position if I'm seeing that type of behavior. Right now, this 30-minute, I just want to show this. This is almost a double bottom, so I think we could pay attention to a 15-minute for a little bit. And there you go. Yeah, you're seeing that steep little divergence being set here. We'll see what this 15-minute can do actually for the SPY. Maybe we see a similar... No, the keys are able to drop down lower, so the target really being that monthly expected move. But just notice this about these moves, okay? You want to know the funny thing is, the market maker will make the most amount of money if people are getting calls here and puts here, and then what do they do here? Well, they send stocks lower, everyone gets puts for the month, then they send stocks higher, everyone gets calls for the month, then they send stocks lower because everyone needs to go back to the put side. So I still think we have something to pay attention to here for some upside. Because I would think the market maker still wants to make some money, especially if they're in trouble with AMC and GME. GME does have earnings next week. What if this all is just a 2-day pop and then GME earnings kind of tips everything? It can have that effect. Thanks for the monthly on the Qs. Nailed it. Yeah, if you're really paying attention to these things, I know we haven't put out that video because I've had a crazy week for the monthly stuff, but we're probably going to talk about that this week, and I'll put that out on Patreon. For the most part, you just look at a 2 hour, you saw that curl up, you see that curl back down, and you go, oh, something crazy can happen, and then maybe that's the play there, right? Maybe an hourly looks a little bit tighter, okay? You see that curls down, and then you go, okay, cool. Very good plays actually for some downside, and a great target as of right now, seeing that try to bounce from that level. So I think a 15-minute is fine to watch, especially if we're watching the SPY. Okay. Now this is good to watch, okay. Nvidia, if that's going to turn up on a 15-minute, that might make yourself a triple divergence, okay. I gotta get that Patreon. I believe now. Yeah, we touch these moves more than you think. Now, you have to understand them, Steve, but I think you got a good understanding for the most part. You've been here for a little while. So you have to understand that's not gonna happen all the time. You're gonna see reactions below that level and all those kinds of things, but it will in the SPY and the Qs a lot of the time just be a target, which is very nice. Now you have to see, like, the SPYs came at it. Like, you'll notice this. SPYs went to their monthly expected move before the Qs did. So the target for the Qs was lower, meaning the SPY had to drop down one more time for that to happen. So we'll see if that's able to build up. But as of right now, guys, I just want you to be aware, this right here is a 15-minute divergence outside of the monthly expected move right now. If that can turn back up, you can see some positivity. Trying to see the pricing of some stuff is at. Because you're outside of these ranges, you're pretty much touching it right now, right there. Now that doesn't have the best divergence. That's key to understand on the 15 minutes, kind of making a 30-minute one right now. So you don't have, the job could not be done pretty much, right? Once you understand these ranges and you understand like, okay, I need to see a reversal signal proving itself down in these areas. I still have a daily expected move below me. I could head to there and then start to turn around. Still a lot of puts coming in, and that thing's moving. I'm seeing that thing change a lot back and forth. Tessie sucks. Well, you know, most likely thing for Tesla was to pull back on a 2 hour or a 30-minute. As that 30-minute has crossed down, now you just hope that that 2 hour is not able to cross. That 2 hour cross, you might see some blood next week, right? But you're really thinking to yourself, okay, we could see something crazy outside of these moves. That makes sense. So I need to pay attention if any kind of reversal signal pops up. You do on the SPY have a, I would say, triple divergence for the 15-minute. That can prove itself today. But I just want you to notice how the downside range is way down here. So we really need to see that reversal signal first. I'm just looking at some data. All right. We're going to see if this curls up. That's going to be a pretty good trigger for me to do some stuff. Got to still pay attention to the dollar. Look at the dollar dropping off, right? We'll see if that can continue to drop. That needs to drop lower, all right? That drops lower, we could see a little bit of a pop in the market, some kind of move to the upside. The Dow, if that turns down on the 30-minute, bad sign though. 15-minute there for the Dow we just looked at, by the way. But this is something I'm really going to pay attention to. This could be an opportunity for something like Monday. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to read into because you could be incorrect in your thinking. You just have to try to figure out throughout your day, what is this adding up to? How are people leveraged with the PCC? What is it looking like from the options market perspective? And as of right now, that dollar scaling up would mean something crazy is going to happen, right? So we want to see that dollar confirm more back down. That way you can see a couple of days of positivity. All you need is a couple of days of positivity to then set up a lower high again. And weirdly enough, that would lead into GameStop earnings. Very interesting. What the hell? That would lead into that earnings September 10th. Falling like Black Monday levels. Damn, that's not good. We don't like that. Now the 30-minute did not cross yet for Nvidia. Interesting. Nvidia, you dog. Oh, Nvidia, you silly goose. Just maybe manage this for a second and then look if it turns back around. Now, Nvidia, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna curl back up on a 15-minute? That'd be interesting. Yeah, someone mentioned Neo a few times, so let's go look at Neo real quick. I got just random tangent, but I got cut off by a dude who was driving a Rivian car yesterday. Rude. Yeah, and this is that daily divergence, right? You can kind of see it with these levels here. So what you want to see with this is a 2-hour curl up in this area. So you're noticing here as we go towards the lows, we're not fully able to get there, I think, right? You're not fully, we're going to give it to you. But for the most part, you would say this is maybe a double bottom. That 2-hour curls up. You got a good chance to break through. That breaks through. It curls up the daily scale and everything looks good. So there was a signal here for Neo. I'm sad we didn't look at it back in these areas. But the other point to that is earnings, right? That's probably why it's like Hey, that's probably why we weren't paying too close attention to it. I don't like earnings plays. As of right now, a 30-minute pullback would be the most sensible thing to wait for. You think MSTR breaks through? Ooh, I'm kind of liking that signal. It's kind of wonky right now, kind of looking like an AM Dizzle, but I kind of like that signal. See if that 2 hour can turn up. This elongated divergence, right? When I see it elongated, I want to make sure it's proven on a bigger time frame, like a 4 hour. So if that 4 hour turns up, I'm liking this one. Yeah, 4 hour turns up, I like it. Good divergence there. Is that holding on the daily too? Yeah, it's there on the daily too. You can kind of see it right away. Up. Barely up. So I don't mind that look at all. I think that's a good one to pay attention to, short Fridays. Really consolidated for a while. That daily scale turns up. Probably break through this area here. Let's see, 173.31 looking like a key level there. I still think Nvidia is really important for today. I think Nvidia just not able to curl over here would be a rejection, be a big deal. I almost managed the trade too, and then I looked back at it and I go, oh wait, this isn't curled down yet. So you see how I almost managed the trade, and then I was like, never mind. So now if this 15-minute goes up, I can maybe scale in like a couple more contracts to make the price a little better. Once again, that 120 level, expiry about 4 weeks out. Dollar is ripping down, so that's what we get. That's very good to pay attention to. Thank you for keeping me on my toes, William. Thank you for notifying me. Keep looking at it for me. If I'm not paying attention to it, click around for me, all right? I can only look at so many things. But the dollar really pulling down at this moment while the market is down, okay? Now, I know this is positive. I know this is a big move up. I know that was some big selling, but there could be something said here. As of right now, the main signal to pay attention to, though, the 2 hour was able to curl up. We'll see if that holds for the next 38 minutes. The 4 hour curling up is my signal. Hey, watch out for the weekend. And probably volatility. If volatility all as well can turn down on a bigger time frame like the 4 hour, I'd kind of like that. And the reason I'm talking kind of like upside is just the housing markets are still seeing some positivity here, still seeing that 2 hour really wanting to cross up. So as long as that holds throughout the day, pretty confident to say we could see a trap to the upside. Because it looks like we're forming a trap to the downside. The only thing that's kind of holding me from that was that major move from the dollar up, now starting to subside. Volatility, checking on this for the 30-minute real quick. That thing's got to turn up on a 30-minute, and then that could come in pretty rough. As of right now, the Dow looking like what? It might curl down on a 15-minute. Watch out for that. Could make a 15-minute divergence, though. A divergence here would look very nice for the Dow. SPY already making it, so we'll see what happens with this. VNQ, yeah, so VNQ, this guy. Interesting to see that the real estate market actually dropping down as the housing sector and home builders starts to build up. That's interesting for sure. But the 2 hour curling down says I'm still in pullback mode. I'm still in pullback mode with a steep divergence. So you still have to watch out for it. That daily has crossed down with divergence. Now this divergence is a little bit high, right? So what does that tell me if this divergence is high? It tells me this could all, even if this is dramatic, goes down to something like, I don't know, all the way down to here. Maybe it goes all the way down to 88. That still could make that next move higher, right? Even if we dropped off dramatically, that just would go like this, and then you could see that pop back up, and we'll pay attention from there. I think you'd want to hold up somewhere around this 92, 91 level. Daily upside move for the SPY at today, Friday, for the close. We do have 557.64. So a huge amount of implied volatility, and you do have a reversal signal forming, not confirmed, outside of the monthly at this moment. I think you might even see it on the 30 minutes soon. Maybe a rejection divergence there, we'll see. So if the 15-minute can curl up here, that would be a good sign. And we're starting to see that dollar come off while the PCC remains high. Dollar was up like almost a 0.3 at some point. So there you go, J-Rod. So gold should be bouncing back if the dollar is pulling down. Yeah, I'm not seeing a dramatic drop for gold just yet. So that means the dollar has been dropping off. There you go, dollar dropping off a little bit here again. So could be seeing something interesting. We'll see. Interesting. Okay, now if this starts to violate these, then remember, this is not something to just say, yeah, it's going to happen. It's something that says, if that reacts this way, then I react that way. If this reacts like this, then I react like that's going to happen. Then maybe a weekly expected move comes into play. Calls are clapped as of now, and this is a rough one. It is a rough one, but you start to see this happen. You start to be like, ooh, okay, that curled down. Let me take my risk out for now and then see if that's able to turn back up and reapply the position, right? Going into a big piece of data, we like to say all the time, the way that you manage your risk going into a big piece of data or earnings is downsizing that position. Downside for the SPY, whoop, like that, 541.58. But just be aware, the Qs are almost to its downside. So we tried to hold up at the monthly, didn't work out, heading lower. So that is violating a lot of the divergence. You are crossing down, so a 30-minute divergence is what to pay attention to for the Qs. SPY for a little bit, you want to pay attention to maybe a 30-minute divergence, but that might be violated when you get down to here. We'll see. Yeah, Qs are dropping outside of that monthly move, and we have a daily move below us to pay attention to. So if you need more selling, okay, right there is where you want to pay attention. 452.56. VIX Rocket Man. And now if that turns up on a 30-minute, that's when we got to really pay attention. But just note that this thing's been kind of going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down. So now it's going back up. See if that actually does cross, break above these levels, really get that breakout moment. 531.76 for the SPY. I don't know about that today, right? Today, most likely this is not going to happen. That would be something that would leak into next week. If these keep losing their value, though, watch out for AMC and GME. I'm sure those are negative too today. Yeah, there you go. So 30-minute for AMC, or sorry, AMD. AMC, 30-minute for AMC curling down, telling you, hey, not the moment. If we curl back up, that can be a good thing. We'll see if this 30-minute can curl back down for GameStop. We will see what's happen. I want to look at this 15-minute, but it's just looking pretty ugly. Now you just have multiple point divergence. Oh, good thing is I can sit and be patient and chill out. Yeah, volatility, I'm still looking if that 30-minute can cross up. I know this is a 15-minute, so the 30-minute I want to cross up here. That 30-minute crosses up today, then it's got something to say. But if this dollar dropping off has anything to say, then that would say, oh, maybe we do see that upside move, but you did have a moment where someone called it out. The dollar was higher while the SPY was higher. That could definitely happen, yeah. Going down to, say, this bottom that we had in the past, that can definitely happen. If volatility scales up, that would be a likely thing, right? We talked about this. If the daily starts to roll down, if we look at it from a daily perspective, then downside makes the most sense. I'm trying to see if there's going to be some kind of bounce that then I can get a better position. So that's all I'm really doing with the shorter time frames. Seeing if there's some kind of bounce so that I can get a better position as people are pretty leveraged to the downside, it seems right now. So, but that doesn't have to happen. If a crash is going to happen, it's going to happen, right? If something bad is going to happen, it's just going to happen. Maybe the market maker can't fudge with the market at all. Daily move for IWM, we do give those out, so I'll just mention those real quick. We do have 205.73 to the downside and 218.13 to the upside. So this thing can go lower. It can go lower. Holy fam. 30-minute now crossing down again for Nvidia and confirming on the 30-minute here in about 29 seconds. So what you want to look for here is downside is the most likely option. It's got about $1.50 left. We'll see what happens. 15-minute, if that curls back up, then you know, hey, it's most likely not going to be downside for the time being. As this is happening, I just want to keep my eye on the dollar, keep my eye on PCC, and see if we get any kind of upside move. See, I don't make them for the Dow. I'm probably going to start because I think the Dow is pretty important, obviously. I don't know why I don't make them for the Dow. I just don't trade the Dow too often. Yeah, the 30-minute did confirm on Nvidia, so going down towards a daily expected move is the most likely thing for today. Just note that they're trying to, most likely on this Friday, it is an options expiration. They might be making as much money as possible. How would they make the most money as possible? Well, really send stocks down. Really sends those stocks down. Then get to a daily expected move, whatever that target is. Maybe it's on the SPY, maybe it's on the Qs, right? Maybe go to a daily expected move all the way down here, get all those puts in the market, and then go, oh, okay, now send it the other way, right? Qs are heading for it, so we got to pay attention to the Qs first. Now, finally, I don't have to look at a 15-minute chart anymore. I can look at a 30-minute. I love 30-minute charts. Patience is paying off. We like to hear it. Just Joe. Yeah, daily range is the most likely thing at this point, but as the Qs approach theirs, you want to say the SPY, wherever it's at when the Qs approach theirs, could run into support. That's what you want to think. And then if it breaks through there, you want to see if that can continue for the SPY, because that means the SPY was most likely the daily target there. Yeah, 30-minute down for the Dow. Okay, let's go look at that real quick. The Dow, 30-minute still hasn't quite crossed yet, actually, on mine. Ooh, good 30-minute signals. Pretty good signals there. I really like this signal from the Qs. Watch out. The SPYs did cross down in the previous bar, but the Qs are heading towards, they're right at that daily expected move. So when you get within range of it, you want to start to watch. Well, the monthly moves all the way up here. So the monthly range is like this, right? So the monthly move is much bigger than the daily move. The monthly move's like 3 dailies. The monthly actually didn't have too much implied volatility, which would make sense. If something really unexpected happened, that would be easier. But yeah, monthly's really big. And then, well, relatively compared to the dailies. But yeah, you can head down towards a daily expected move as well. It's pretty much you want to use it like support levels and say, okay, if I lose this, watch this. If I lose this, we're really seeing something crazy. Volatility's going nuts. And the dollar is still scaled up. So that 2-hour cross of the dollar might be something to pay attention to at this moment. 4-hour, the main signal. I want to watch the Qs as they hit this daily expected move, see what happens. That would make some sense, Dave. I kind of like that as a setup for the most part. The only problem with that is the daily has crossed. On the SPY and the keys, the daily has crossed. Now you're saying maybe we reach up like this or something like that. Or maybe more for the SPY, reaches up like this. That can happen. We can see another like little divergence point. TLT, is it smart? I mean, the daily is crossing up and they're saying they need to cut rates more, but you do have a divergence forming here. So is it the best? The better place was down in this area when I reapplied the position. And I never managed that. I think I'm just holding this bad boy as an investment for the long term. Seeing if that sees a solid amount of upside, starting to prove to be so. Palantir, yeah, Palantir has a major amount of volatility in it. So looking at the 30-minute, we're looking for a 30-minute signal, right? So we see this. What does this look like to me? Looks like some divergence points, right? Right here's with the closing of that bar. All right, pull it down. If that can turn up, that would be a good sign still from this point. And this point way over here. It's like the signals, this is what we talk about all the time. The signals look really bad. This is awful. This is terrible. If it turns around, we have a reversal signal there. That's how we treat it. Gold just crossed. Dollar still sitting at 0.13. So far makes sense. And Q is finally hitting that daily expected move, starting to chop a little bit below it. So this is where you start to pay attention. You see if there's any kind of reversal here. If it's going to hold the reversal signal, this looks like the moment, but we'll see. We got to see the reversal signal first. For the breakout area, I mean, the breakout would be something like this. I would come down like this. Right, so we could come all the way down to test that. That would make sense. But I'm not going to take that too much. I don't like to use trend lines as like a reason to take a trade. I just think it's a feel-good type of thing. It's like, oh, I see reversal signals and I've hit a trend line, right? It can make me say that extra little and to make me feel a little better. Mamma mia, Nvidia 103. Nvidia, you're supposed to go. Why do I sound like Dracula or some shit? 30 minutes still. Remember, we talked about forming the 30-minute divergence down here, right? If that forms, watch out. Right now, about 102 looks likely for Nvidia. If we crossed over on the MACD, then 102 looks likely, and boom, we crossed over, so 102 looks likely. Yeah, I tried to sound like Mario. I do that all the time. My wife gets embarrassed of me in public. I'll be my ADHD is so bad, man. But I'll be walking around the mall. I'll be going into Quick Trip. I'll be walking around with buying groceries with the girls, and I'll always just be like, wah, wah, wah. Wahoo! My brother sounds Italian when he speaks Spanish. He goes, "Lo siento por mi pedos." Dollar ripping down. Yeah, there you go. So dollar really starting to rip down. So this is more rigged behavior now. So you could see a rig move to the upside by end of day if this continues. I'd really like to see that continue, but we can see it. Oh, man. Netflix really looked like it wanted to cross up. This is one I had my eye on. 30-minute on the volatility. Ooh, close, but not quite there. Still got the signal. Still got the signals. Now we've hit that daily. So now you go, okay, the target wasn't here. Target's a little bit lower. Why is Nvidia so volatile today? Because everything's going to be volatile today with the data. The implied I mean, you just know everything's going to be volatile. Why? Because the Qs have this huge range. That's a big range, guys, for a daily expected move. That's a pretty damn big range. My screen looks calm. Okay, that was funny. Everything's red. Uh-oh. Remember, if Nvidia just curls up here, the opportunity's to the upside, and we do have that rigged behavior. The dollar is negative, the SPY is negative, the Qs are negative, the Dow is negative, while the dollar is negative. Meaning there might be just a little bit of insider buying. There was originally selling. That's leading into now some buying showing up. I wasn't confident in this one. This one looks like all the signals here. So if that continues, then we could see that rig move up. Is that the definition? It might be. Do you have a feel for next week? I think there's one thing I'm really paying attention to. Are we going to see positivity for a couple of days? Okay, are we going to see positivity for a couple of days, get us back to where everyone's feeling good, and then we see GameStop earnings? And then if that doesn't do it, then I'm going to be saying, okay, are we going to head up and run into a wall around some Fed speak, some Fed interest rate decisions? Because even next week, we still get more data. If you want to know the data for next week, we do get going into Wednesday, and this is why I'm saying a few days of positivity. Because by Wednesday, we'll not only have GameStop earnings, you'll also have the, someone did mention that we will have the debate, right? We'll have the debate, and then we'll also have in the morning the core inflation rate month over month, core inflation rate year over year, inflation rate month over month, inflation rate year over year, right? So CPI stuff coming out on next Wednesday, September 11th. Next day, PPI. Next day, Michigan consumer sentiment. So, and that's supposed to come down as well. So it's like we could see a couple days of positivity that just sets up a lower high. I think that's a very likely scenario where if these reversal signals hold, right, if they're able to really hold and the dollar keeps dropping off, that could hint at some buying happening. And then we go up, and then by Wednesday, you start to see this thing fall down. That's kind of what I'm looking into. Continuing to drop, though, that's a pretty firm bar there. We'll see if this 30-minute can start. Now that you have 30-minute divergences forming, your probabilities to bounce start to go up if these things confirm, right? So we just need these things to confirm, right? We said this in the video last night. Down, if the downside is the option, then this will curl down. It curled down. All right, we head lower, watch for divergences. The opportunity is not the curl down. Not every time, right? The little curl down, this is the opportunity that most people sleep on. Now, you guys know about it. You guys know about these things. This, going like that, just crossing back up, is the opportunity. If that happens, that's an opportunity, right? How many times can I say opportunity? But that's the real trade. The real trade isn't downside, right? Because we're seeing the dollar come down. We're seeing the dollar come down by 0.11. We're seeing a high PCC. So everyone is banking on this going down while we're seeing the dollar go down, meaning that some big boys might actually be buying. Because originally, you got to think of where the dollar was. Originally, the dollar was here. Now it's all the way down here. It's a pretty big move. I know it's only on a 30-minute chart, but if we show it on a 2-hour, you're going to see what? A big wick. All right? That's a little dramatic. So we'll pay attention to it. Right now, volatility is up by 10%. So volatility can come in. We're starting to see that very close to crossing on the 30-minute. But it has to cross on that 30-minute for me to make a decision. That's the key thing. I just let the indicator tell me what to do. All right, what's going on out there in the world today? Unemployment rate. Let's see what people are saying out there about the unemployment rate. Wow, okay, Canada's unemployment rate's going insane, apparently. Canada's youth unemployment rate is 14.5%. Holy crap, that's a lot of unemployment there. Factor in the millions of people missing from the labor market, don't have jobs, but are excluded from the official unemployment calculation. The unemployment rate jumps from 4.2 to somewhere between 7 to 8.5, depending on how you calculate. That's what someone was doing some math there. What was the U6 unemployment rate? That's true, 7.9, my goodness. Oof. Riggedy, riggedy, rough. See if that's able to turn up. See if this is still turning down. Okay, so now the SPY's downward target. This is like, if this is going to be a rigged move, then this is how they make the most amount of money. Is they send both down to their daily expected moves, everyone buys puts, and then this thing starts to turn up by the end of the day. That would be very, very sketchy, but it does happen, unfortunately. Lucas, oh, thank you so much. $10 from Sid. Thank you so much, Sid. The first super on the live stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lucas, thank you for all of your live teachings in your course, which really helps clarify. Lunch on me, but get your favorite sub, maybe. Hey, we like to see that. Maybe we'll go get some Firehouse subs. What's the other one I have to try? Isn't there another one I have to try? But thank you so much for the $10, Sid. I will maybe have to go get some lunch with that today. Maybe I'll get pho, just for you. I'll get pho. I kind of was saying pho to my daughter over and over again. She's 7 months old, but I was saying pho, 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 because she says dada all the time now. But I was trying to say pho, and then she starts going pho, pho, pho. And I'm like, oh, that's like one syllable off from being something bad. We're like one syllable off from saying something bad, so maybe I shouldn't teach her that just yet. The Dow is confirming down on the 30-minute chart. So that is a bad thing. If this is going to rotate back up, watch for that 15-minute. This is a very steep divergence for the Dow at this moment. Very, very steep. So 30-minute curls down, it's still bad. But if that 15-minute curls up, there's no way the 30-minute continues to go down. Home builder's starting to tank. Okay, so let's see here. Home builder's giving it up a little bit. I still like to do HGX. That has given it up a little bit, but it was a strong move, right? This was a 2.5 or 2.15% move. So you could be experiencing some kind of 15-minute that got way overbought. Maybe it just needs to pull back for a brief moment. We'll see. 15-minute for the Dow. If that can turn back around, I need to start making moves for this thing. Okay, Qs are still the most important thing on the 30-minute. Real estate was bad probably, right? Yeah, real estate given this look. So this would be kind of like that ETF that we were looking at, VNQ. You're going to see a similar type of signals here. So if I was doing VNQ trades, I'd be looking at something like XLRE. And we notice what? 2-hour divergence at the high, daily divergence as well across that RSI. And you see that kind of pretty much flat here for the MACD, which tells me this could be a move down, but that could be a pullback that then pulls itself back up. So we'll see what happens with that. I think you have a good shot to do something like this. If it falls more dramatically, then lower high would be likely. So that's what I'd be paying attention to here. Q is still giving it up. So I wonder if the SPY target is still there. Dollar not dropping off too much anymore. Yeah, and it's pretty much trying to problem solve in real time. Right, Short Fridays, you're trying to pretty much problem solve it right away. XLF is tanking. This is something I want to look at. BAC, I gotta remember that. Bank of America dropping off. This is actually pretty key. If you don't know, Bank of America is actually, Warren Buffett sold him, and when you kind of connect the dots, Bank of America is kind of on the hook for a lot of the GME and AMC problem. So that's a key thing to understand, because if they're on the hook for the AMC and GME problem, why would they be experiencing weakness? Why is Warren Buffett selling so much stock? Why did Berkshire Hathaway end up seeing that weird glitch where it went down to like $100 something? So this is all looking pretty bad for Bank of America, actually. So this is one that I'm really paying attention to, looking at it on the daily scale, showing what, hey, it could curl over into negative territory, and that's the kind of look you see when you're about to curl down into negative territory, right? So we'll see if that still holds by end of day. I think it most likely does, but if that crosses over, obviously bad, right? Volatility, this looks like the 30-minute is scaling up at this moment, so we'll, oh, it still hasn't crossed. Wow, really? Oh, dang it. There we go. If you didn't know on TradingView, if you ever move a line or something like that, Control Z, people, Control Z. If you ever mess something up on your screen, you just take your hand off the mouse, hit Control Z. Interesting. Okay, so Nvidia. See if you can bounce back on this 30-minute. Are you seeing upside for Tesla now? Well, I don't necessarily want to say upside. At least want to be like, okay, 15-minute has pulled back. If that turns back up, we can see positivity. But just remember the thing we were paying attention to here still. Collection of some buyers in this liquidity matching up with these type of levels, right? So we came below that. That doesn't mean all bad things, right? We're just going a little bit lower. We can go all the way down. We can go a little bit lower. You can go all the way to 215.54 really, and still be pretty confident that if this turns up, we could break through. So I would just be paying attention to that going forward. But for the most part, we still have the structure of possible grab of liquidity here with some kind of wonky, I would say, head and shoulders. How did you know that about Control Z? Because I messed up my charts like 20,000 times, and I finally looked up, how the heck do I undo something on TradingView? I just looked it up and it goes, just hit Control Z. I hate when it's that easy too. When I've been like mad at my charts tons of times because I accidentally moved something, and all I had to do was go look it up for 1 second. It's a super important next 10 minutes. Now, you can still see rigged moves with this type of stuff. That is a very dramatic downward point. And notice that we're coming into our zone. Very, very cool here. We got excited, which means bad things can happen, right? We talked about that. Why did we talk about, hey, you know, move sideways, but no, bad things can happen? Because we got too excited past this level. Where did we need to react to from here to see that head and shoulders, right? To see that head and shoulders. Well, we needed to react back down into this zone, get into this little liquidity here, react down to that zone, and then we remain healthy. We didn't do that, so now we're catching up. And I think that area can be where we actually bounce from. Key level there. So they had enough liquidity to go higher, FOMO'd in. All right, now we'll do that and then see if we can turn up over time. But you're starting to get rid of a lot of these divergences, okay? So as you get rid of a lot of these divergences, I think you're right in saying these next few minutes could be important for that RSI, because that RSI is dipping low, MACD is dipping low. You don't like to see that. The only thing holding it right now are the Qs, which the Qs are just dropping like a rock as of this moment. The way, I mean, I don't really save mine too much. I'll make like crypto charts and things like that. Even though this is, I don't use this for crypto. I tried my, a lot of these strategies on crypto first. That's why it's called crypto charts. But I have my trading layout on all the stock. It'll have the same stocks, just a little bit different layout. So I'll use this sometimes on my other screen. But it's pretty much all the same stuff, just has the weekly expected moves of every stock that we cover on this channel on that chart. That way I can see those in real time. See a lot of major tanks, but weirdly enough, something like Nvidia, I just wanted to talk about that for a moment because weirdly enough, the value of some of the options for Nvidia actually going up. So someone out there is buying some calls. Definitely not these people. Dollar still wanting to drop off. We'll see if that goes a little lower, but volatility, this next 15 minutes probably very important for volatility. You only have about 6 minutes left, and we're heading directly towards that daily expected move. Makes me go ching ching. I like it, Robert. Congratulations. Nvidia is interesting now, curling down on the 30-minute. Manage the trade for a split second here, then reapply with a little bit bigger position the next time I go in. Because it's cheaper now. So if I sold at the right time, then it's a little bit cheaper than when I sold, which is nice, so I can acquire a little bit more if that turns around. Key thing, has to turn around. But we do have divergence points now. And we're hitting a weekly or a daily expected move for Nvidia, just so you're clear. Nvidia is hitting the daily expected move pretty much right now. That dollar's still not dropping enough. Stock's on sale. Got myself. Oh. Yeah, and that's fine short Fridays, and I think it's good that, you know, at least you're changing something, because it would be insane to keep doing the same thing, right? So it's good that you're trying to change something. Just make sure that that's the best option. Really go through it first. What if it doesn't go up at all today? Then this can all continue into next week, especially if that dollar turns up. If we don't go up at all today and that dollar turns up on like a 2-hour still, which I think it has, it's got 4 minutes left in the bar. So that 2-hour turning up tells you the dollar can still most likely bounce from here. So that's why you want to see if that's actually turning down. But the 4-hour turning up is the main signal to watch here. You pretty much have a huge indecision bar from the dollar right now. 4-hour curls up. I think it's bad things. Might be game over. Someone was saying, you know, it's like a game right now. Yeah, well, that 4-hour turns up, it might be game over right now where the Q is heading lower. But as the SPY still has that daily expected move, there's hope. I'm looking weeks out for Nvidia. I'm looking for a 2-week to a 4-week play here still. If I do the 2-week play, that would make sense as far as risking money, because then I can not buy as much time the next time and use the same amount of money. It could probably save me the same amount and buy the same contracts. I think you got a good shot to fill that gap in the next couple of weeks. Actually, we'll see. If this turns around, that's what I should say, because I'm not going to buy this unless it goes like this. Now, Amazon is confirming the 30-minute signal down, so now you got to watch for that 2-hour to curl down. That 2-hour curls down, bad thing. So 32 minutes here, very important for Amazon as well. It did it, Joe. It's Jover. Yeah, and remember, volatility was very important on that 30-minute just now. Seeing that 30-minute looks like what? It's running into the key level, so we'll see if that can break through. It's already broken through one. Let's see if it breaks through another. Dollar flipping back to positive. There is still probably enough for a rigged move to the upside, but as it keeps piling on, you got to say, you know, I'm not taking any plays unless the actual reversal signal proves itself, because this is starting to dip really freaking low. The only thing is everyone is calling the crash at these levels. That's what's interesting to me. Will the SPY go back to 550 again? You have a 68% chance that by September 31st, or whatever the last day of September trading, the last expiration for September is, that you see this type of move. Not necessarily exactly this. We can still go lower. It's just by the end of the month, you can end up back above this yellow line. So 68% chance to land above 548 towards 550 by the end of the month. I know, UUP back up. Dollar still back to breaking even. It's pretty much an indecision bar on the 2 hour. Wait, what the hell? Wait, that just changed. What the heck? That just changed. God dang it. Did they just mess with this again? This was an indecision bar. That's what it looked like. And then now that wick is gone. Now that wick's here. Maybe I was looking at something different. I don't get why it changes. It bugs me. 2 hour crossing up is the big signal, but the 30-minute crossing up can give you that little hint. We're hitting the key level now, so this is where volatility pretty much has to fade or else it could go nuts. So I'd be paying close attention to my indicators as the Qs have gotten rid of the divergence for the 30-minute on the RSI. You have to be open to this just being some kind of dead cat bounce at this point. I know, I was on the 2 hour and it was like an indecision big green thing, and then I switch back and it changes. I hate that. VNQ bouncing hard. Okay. Alrighty, we'll see if that leads to some. Whoa, okay, yeah, it's bouncing pretty damn hard. Alright, cool. So the SPY, that daily coming in, touching that daily expected move, starting to see a bounce exactly from that level. Dollar just crashing down now. Dollar crashing down. Dollar crashing down, put still in. Volatility was not able to confirm up. Seems like I made the wrong decision to start investing 2 weeks ago. Will this recover to the numbers before Tuesday? Before Tuesday, so that'd be up in this area. You have a shot to with these type of signals. You do have a shot to do that. You don't have to by any means. So what you want to be paying attention to is, well, first of all, if this is going to be some kind of bounce, does that 30-minute roll over again? Because that would be a bad sign, and that's when you want to say, okay, I need to at least take what I got. You know what I mean? And then as far as it goes going forward, you want to say if this 2 hour can cross up, then we might see an extended move, right? You might get that extension up to that gap fill from Tuesday towards 476, and then watch out in case that does curl back down, right? Curl back down. So it's hard to do when someone says they're new to trading. It's hard to do it very, very quickly and tell you everything you need to know. But pretty much, if you wanted to learn over the weekend, my courses are still on sale. I'm going to take those away soon, probably by Monday stream, because I like to leave it live. But it's the weekend. Volatility is going crazy. The market's crazy. I'm comfortable leaving it, and I've had a wild week. So I'm just trying to not pay attention to something, and that's the easiest thing not to pay attention to. So what you need to happen in order to see some kind of upside move is pretty much what you're looking for, some kind of upside move. So you need this 30-minute to cross back up, which means you need a big stock, probably like Nvidia, to confirm this divergence. I want you to note that the SPY and the Qs got rid of their divergence. Did Nvidia? No. No, it didn't. All right? Flexio, though, I would highly encourage you look into those in the description for now, because those will really help you out. And then when you come back to these live streams, you can ask more questions about that course that's in the description. You can still ask questions regardless, but to say, does it have a chance to get back up to those levels from Tuesday? It does. It does. With this type of signal from Nvidia, it does. It's just you have to know when that move is not going to get all the way to that level, Flexio. So you're pretty much talking about Tuesday. This is from the Friday, so that's pretty much the point you're kind of looking for. So what you would say is, if this does bounce up, is it going to just keep going like this forever? Well, if that does happen, your MACD is never going to cross. But if that MACD pops up and crosses, that's when you know, okay, there's something else going on here for a second. Let's see if that's going to cross back up. So more so paying attention to as well, if the 2 hour can cross, that's very close. So I'd mainly be looking at stuff on the 2 hour. If those 2 hours cross, I think you have a good shot to react to something towards that Tuesday level. Sad to be down to 120 in the first 2 weeks. That's okay. It happens to everyone. You know, it happens to me. It happens to everyone. I've been listening to you and I'll donate as I learn more. And I think that's perfectly awesome, Shelly. I think that's fantastic. And you can just watch the videos. It's just for someone with like a trade, I like to encourage the course if you're really needing information quickly, because you can learn from YouTube. Some people have emailed me before saying, I was able to learn this from YouTube. I took the course. One person even took the course, said, hey, I learned everything from YouTube. I don't feel like I learned anything from the course. And I was like, oh, that's too bad. And we talked back and forth and it was all good. It was very good. Everyone was happy at the end of the day still. And I think that's fantastic. But he was able to, he watched videos for like 6 months. It took him 6 months to gain that amount of knowledge. He was like, I think after watching, he said, I watched over 100 videos and that allowed me to know a lot of what you're doing. And he took notes, he did all those things. So it is possible, but if you would like clarification on it, and I'm perfectly fine with you wanting to watch, it's just, you'll learn the actual strategy, cut and dry, what's in the course, how to swing trade, how to do the divergence plays. So, and right now you have a divergence play. So if you needed any convincing, this is a divergence play. If this one plays out, you're going to be like, okay, I need to learn how to do this stuff. But we'll see if it plays out. That's the key thing. To the market makers, got your profit. Well done, William. We like to see it. But think, oh, I like that, John. What if a baby stopped trying to walk after a few falls? My girl's falling all the time. She wants to skip crawling, go straight to walking. Sorry, I saw something in my option, which apparently is what my wife did when she was a baby. Oh yeah, you can still watch it anytime, Steve. If you do buy the course, you own it. It is yours. You can go back and watch it. I encourage you in the videos to watch it multiple times. If you're having just a confusing week, even months and months later after you buy the course and you take the course, and then months and months later you're like, man, I'm just feeling a little flustered, a little confused. Maybe this divergence play isn't playing out. Let me just double check on that. Take that divergence side again. Oh, I'm not playing around the weekly ranges correctly. These trades aren't going my way. Let me look at that weekly ranges portion and see if that goes better, right? Maybe I just need to refresh on it. And I think that's great to do. I probably watched 3 to 5 hours of videos on technical analysis a day for the past month. It's made a huge difference. Yes, and you really want to see what things click for you, what makes your strategies better. You don't want too much info. Too much info can be a lot because it can really convince you to get out of plays too fast. It can convince you to get into any kind of play. You don't want a million reasons to get into a trade, because then if you're like, I only need 5 reasons, but I have a million reasons to come up with, then you're going to be in trades all the time. Yeah, I've updated the content before. I have updated it like 3 different times. We've added the how to not get screwed, so how to manage your trade, to the course. And we're even thinking about if we see a rigged move today, we'll do it this way. I mean, I'm probably going to do it over the weekend anyway. But if we see a rigged move today, if we see rigged behavior and we get the rigged move, then I'll be putting that on the technical indicators course. So the using technical indicators for $100, it's 90% off. Save yourself some money there, but 90% off there. If you get that one, I'll probably be adding to it, especially if we see a rigged move today. I'm going to teach you how to look for those type of moves, paying attention to the PCC, the dollar, and the market all at the same time. There's also great videos on YouTube of who to not listen to on YouTube. Yeah, a couple of those might be, have you met Kevin? Yeah, it just jumped, and that makes total sense. That makes total sense to jump from that daily expected move. Now we have to see if that can hold. You're going to see a lot of downward pressure. This move from the dollar, we just want to see that is scaling up very quickly. So this doesn't have to be over. You saw a rigged moment. Now you're seeing the dollar start to scale up again. So it's a time to also pay attention to volatility if that can turn up on a 30-minute. You have a minute and a half to the next bar. So this next 30 minutes is going to be very, very, very freaking important. So here we go. Time for volatility to tell us what's going to go on here. Are we going to curl up on the Qs or on the SPY, or are we going to continue to the downside as we've just used that daily expected move for the Qs as resistance? Oh, VIX is starting to turn up on that 30 minutes, so you got to watch out for the next bar. Can't tell you that. We're teaching people technical analysis and how to read into these indicators. So I can't tell you what to buy. I can tell you what signals look decent. And Nvidia has a decent looking signal here that pretty much, if it confirms, you can see a reversal. And VNQ coming back down. VNQ shot up and came back down. The SPY shot up, came back down. The Qs shot up, came back down. So still more so puts in the market right now. Dollar positive though, so that's back to being positive right now. So that makes sense with what's going on. I know, it's crazy, Mark, isn't it? Kind of fun though, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, kind of fun. Who let me have fun today, you guys? Stop letting me have fun. The market's moving. We complain on days when the market doesn't move at all, and we complain on days when it moves in a big direction if we're not in it, right? I took one course and I'm making $50 per day. Hey, that's awesome. Your course is good. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. And like I said, if you get those small wins, that's the thing. And Shelly, maybe you heard me say in there a couple of times. I know I say it in the technical using indicators course. And I think the big thing that people can take away that not a lot of people pay attention to is what I say here, and I'll say it again. The slow way is the fast way. And that's why people ask me, you know, hey, are you a millionaire yet? And I'm like, hey, my goal is to get there. But I'm a very diligent, slow trader. I have a lot of, hopefully, you know, God willing, I have a lot of time left with me. I don't want to put anything at risk that could really hurt me. So I know that the slow way is the fast way. That's why I manage trades. That's why I only take setups that I see as good, right? So this looks like a good setup. And if this curls up, I will be taking a position and I will manage the trade as such, right? I will manage the trade going forward. If you wanted to get a upside play for the SPY, if I want to do an upside play for the SPY, a lot of the time I short volatility. Now, with this look in volatility, I'm not necessarily thinking about shorting volatility if the SPY is going to see upside. So I'm more looking for a good trade setup from an actual individual stock. So instead of trading something like the SPY, I can trade something like Nvidia. I like the option pricing a lot more in individual stocks. That's just something that maybe personally, that's what I like, right? I can buy longer out expirations. I can take that and be perfectly fine. I like that part of it. So for the most part, I'm not really trading the SPY most of the time. I'm trading volatility, which is against the SPY, right? I'll take calls on that if I think there's going to be a drop. I'll take puts on that if I think that there's going to be a pop for the SPY. And then the other thing I would do is if I'm not liking too many of the signals from the volatility and the SPY at the same time, because that's what I do, then I will look for an individual stock. I like this look from Nvidia. This is my favorite look in the stock market right now. This is exactly how I saw it playing out. If we headed down, that's why I'm excited about it. Is that part of your strat in your course? You can use this strat with pretty much anything, but yes, this right here. This is one of the basic 30-minute things that you're going to learn in the course. This right here. All of this is all in the course. and we break it down pretty well. We tell you your reasons for taking a trade. We talk about a lot of things like support levels, these important zones. So I'll just do it. Why don't we do it? Why don't we give you guys a little blurb of the reasons to take a trade here? All right. 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. I think Nvidia is going down. Yes. I think Nvidia is going down. But if it does this, if I cross up this MACD, then I think it's going to reverse the trend. I think that's the most probable thing. So if it does that, yeah, okay, we can maybe see a reversal in trend and start to head upwards, start to curl up a 2 hour. So my reasons for a trade are, I see the divergence. If that confirms, then I would say that's a reason, right? That confirmed. Do I see the divergence again on the RSI? I do right now. So if that really points upward, I can say, okay, that's a reason to take a trade. Then I can make up other reasons as well. Where is Nvidia? Well, Nvidia is down by a daily expected move right now with a divergence. That's another reason to take a play. That's 3. Now, where is Nvidia with the price action right now? As well as by that weekly expected move. It's outside of a weekly expected move. Don't really want to use that as a reason because that's pretty high up, right? So what I want to say is, where is it? Support, right? We're going into a key zone that I've marked off, right? Key zone that I've marked off, key zone that I've marked off, key zone that I've marked off. We've seen a lot of reactions in this zone, right? And then we gap out of it and things like that. So I know this level is important. That's 4 right there. That is 4 right there. Now, what if I need a 5th reason? Well, then I want to look into, could I see a rigged move to the upside? Could I see a rigged move to the upside? Well, the market maker, I bet a lot of these puts are by retail traders, and the market maker might want to send stocks higher. If I saw the dollar actually negative, and I would say more negative than this, holding at these low levels, then I would be confident to say there's some rigged behavior going on. But because I'm not seeing both at the same time, I can't use it as a reason. So I still only have 4 reasons to take a trade. When you say point upward, do you mean if you see a green bar? I mean if you see a green bar on your histogram on the MACD saying that has crossed. This right here, you see how when this crosses right here, you start to get this little green bar? That's what I want to pay attention to with my divergence. Not the first time, the second time. This happens, I see a green bar like right up here. I see a green bar right here. Okay, awesome, I can make a decision. That's a reason to take a trade, right? Another reason I could take a trade. Let's see about the 30-minute. Let's see how this 30-minute on volatility actually reacts. If this 30-minute on volatility ends up fading dramatically, I can say, okay, volatility just rejected. That could be another reason to take the play. But the first thing I need to happen with all this, I can keep all of the, it's good to keep these in mind before it happened. That's why I like to watch it while it forms. The first thing I need in order to trigger all of that is this to give me that green bar on the histogram. All right, I hope that was overall helpful. That was very, very good. What do you mean the divergence is not holding? So the divergence has to hold, meaning this signal has to hold and then this has to cross up. If this signal ends up looking like this, that's not a divergence anymore. It did not hold, okay? So if this signal even did this and the RSI broke down below that level, then the divergence did not hold. It doesn't mean I can't take the play still. It means I need to make sure to manage this because this could just be a bounce because it's not on both of my signals at the same time. You'll hear me say that in the course a lot. It's both signals at the same time. Yeah, there's your reasons for the trade. That's why this is a good trade. If all of those things happen. So you notice I think of all those things before it happens. So I'm ready to react, right? Be quick. Now I can just sit here all day, watch a 30-minute chart. And if that curls up, I can make a decision. I can pull the trigger, right? That's the overall thing. As far as it goes for the SPY and the key is SPY reacting back down to its daily expected move, crossing below it even, going a little bit deeper. So that 30-minute for volatility is scaling up rather quickly. The next signal we look at from volatility is that 2-hour, and that 2-hour is crossing up as well. One thing we can watch out for today, 2-hour divergence, okay? So don't think that it's always over. You always want to be thinking, how could I get screwed? If volatility, if I take that and it goes and makes a 2-hour divergence and confirms down, what's likely to happen? The daily scale. The daily scale is likely to turn back down, right? Daily scale 2-hour divergences, known to roll over daily scales based on my back testing. So if I get a 2-hour divergence and that starts to fail, it's not going to be a good sign. But as of right now, this all looks very, I would say, bullish for volatility, aka not very good for the SPY. But it's just funny that that looks not very good for the SPY, and Nvidia's not breaking down further than what we would expect for the day. This is exactly what the market maker expected. Dollar going back to flat. You need a good cup of coffee for $7? Let's see. I mean, pretty much anything you see cross up on a little 15-minute, if you need to make $7, you got like, what, $100? You could probably take a play for like 15 minutes, honestly, and make that happen. Is Tesla testing or gonna go north? Well, the thing about Tesla is it could be reacting down into these levels and then just turn back up anytime. The key thing with Tesla here is, yes, this is dramatic to the downside, so pay attention to it, but be like this. If the 30-minute crosses up, what's the most likely thing to happen? Positivity. I'm still in positive territory. Now, if these things start to happen, if the 2-hour starts to confirm down, we see that extend further and that 2-hour crosses, then you don't necessarily want to be looking for that upside. That could really start to damper things. So 2-hour crosses down, that's the worst signal, I think, for Tesla at this moment. Qs just keep dropping. What is selling off the hardest here? Everything red, though. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. We're in danger. I'm in danger. All right, volatility. Looks like that thing's going to keep scaling up. Got 19 minutes left, 19 and a half. The Dow, what are you doing as well? Making a 30-minute divergence. So you see that on the Dow still. Apple rolling over on the 30-minute. Pay attention to that. That could mean lower prices. Still need to make a divergence or something like that. Microsoft got rid of it. Google still has it on the... Oh, we said Google. Watch that reaction of 153.87 and boom, it crossed over. What did it do? Went to 153.87 for now. Don't look up. I haven't seen that one yet. I always saw the trailer for it, but I never really... never fully sat down and watched it. Yo, what should I eat today? Fudge just sounds so good. And Sid should tell me where I gotta go today. I'm down with that. I'm one of those people I eat pretty much anything. I eat pretty much everything, so. Sure, I'm kicking their asses, but I still care for them. Yeah, Palantir just crossing over with a simple MACD. MACD crosses, downside most potential move, where you head towards maybe a daily expected move, right? So you actually could head lower than this for Palantir. Sorry, Palantir people, you can head lower with that move. Unfortunado. Ooh, they're remaining uninverted for a little bit here. That's interesting. All right, let's go back over to Nvidia. I think this is the most important one to watch. Notice it's still holding up. Nvidia is one of the most important stocks. We just got to see by end of day. Just got both of your courses, going to digest them this weekend. Awesome, Z-Shotty. Come on Monday and let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? I quit my job just to manipulate unemployment data so my puts could profit. That's hilarious. That's actually really funny. Oh, God, yeah. You caused it. I actually, see, personally, I actually went out and got another job so that the unemployment rate would only be at 4.2% today. I actually went and got like 3 more jobs just so so that unemployment rate could go down so Nvidia could pop one more time. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'm gonna quit on Monday. I told them I don't work weekends and I'm gonna quit on Monday. Oh my god. 103 calls by end of day? Holy shit. I mean, okay, 103 is not too far off. That's not too far off, but I'm like, fuck, man. Oh god, day trades. Dollar still negative, market negative. It's just you'd like to see the dollar more negative than that. Up 10K for the month. Good job, Sid, and just keep managing those trades. And as that money grows, something I want to encourage you, Sid, don't think you have to, if the amount of money that you've made for like a couple of months is good for your life, something that I've done is not tried to make more than that. That's why I kind of have my set prices or amount of money that I put into trades and a maximum amount most of the time, because if it's an option play, that is, because if I do that, then all the time I can make the same amount, I can grow slowly, and I can keep the same habits without getting too excited and being like, oh, I made $100,000 last month, so now I can risk, you know, $50,000 to $60,000 a month. It's like, no, well, what did I use to make that $100,000 in a month? Well, I only used 15. Okay, then I'm only going to risk 15 always because that's enough money for me, right? A big problem I think a lot of traders do have, which isn't talked about a lot, is they don't realize that the game does change as you scale up. If you're starting with 10K, like I did years and years and years ago, if you start with 10K and now you're at 100K. Well, a 10% loss at 10K is only $1,000. A 10% loss at $100,000 is a $10,000 loss. So that's where you kind of have to treat it that way. Do you scalp or day trade? I don't necessarily scalp. I'll scalp sometimes. Day trade, for the most part, I don't necessarily do. Every once in a while. I'm more of a position trader. So I was positioned for pretty much both sides. I had a little volatility play, sold out of that thing. And now I'm seeing if that'll turn up again, but I'm seeing this reversal signal from Nvidia. So what I like to do is take a position 2 to 4 weeks out when I'm seeing a signal like this. Yeah, now you can keep 90K safe, right? And now you just have the 10K. It's like pretty dope. Thoughts on Tesla right now? I think you're still in that 30-minute pullback mode. You got to see if this thing can rotate back around. That's the key thing. Now, this could be a difficult one to trade. It has a lot of implied volatility in it for the whole month. So if that does turn down, it could just spike right back up. I wouldn't really be expecting this to be like, oh, I'm just going to curve out and do this and really even this out, get this orange line to come down nice and pretty so they both curl up together like a cute little party. No, I don't think that happens. I think that could happen, obviously, but I think you could just see some kind of reaction that just goes like this, and you might not be the best trade setup because this is lagging behind pretty good because this is a dramatic move. So 30-minute curl up, I think you still have the chance here to see this play out as some kind of, cruddy head and shoulders in some way. Which, that's what I think the SPY's doing. I think the SPY's just doing what you were supposed to do here. That's what I think the SPY is doing right now. But if I'm proven wrong, then that daily momentum takes over and we just keep crashing down. It's just if Nvidia is going to help me out with that, I think. If this is going to cross up on a 30-minute, that can help me out. It's at the daily range, yeah. So if it sees further downside than that, then you're seeing one of those 32% crazy times. But this looks like the target as of right now. We'll see if that continues to hold. But for the most part, we would say that looks like the target for the day. So we found it. It was downside. Itchy, itchy. Oh. Alrighty, sometimes when I hold my phone, it makes the mic go, so I won't do that. So if it's my opinion, if you want to ask me like what stock do I see a good reversal signal on, Apple looks like that's going to turn down right now. 30-minute looks like that's going to cross down, right? That is crossing down. So that would tell me downside's the most likely option. And if that turns back around, yeah, it's by the center line, but does that look like a great trade setup to me? Not necessarily, right? It can be, you know, if I treat it right, I can see that 30-minute curl up. I can see it get above the RSI. It looks like a 30-minute swing trade, maybe the 2-hour curls up, all that stuff. But notice I'm having to talk a lot. I'm having to convince myself. I'm having to do a lot of work. Why don't I just look for something with a good signal? Well, Tesla, that just dropped off dramatically. That could be a spike up in a 30-minute swing trade if that curls up. But once again, I'm having to talk a bunch. Amazon, that just dropped down on the 30-minute. If that thing turns around, yeah, I could get back into that, but I'm not really seeing any reversal here. It's just dropping off like a cliff. It's just, you know, if I have to say a bunch of bad things. And then I look at Nvidia and I go, okay, now this one, yeah, sure, this is bad for the time being, but I'm actually seeing a reversal signal on this one. Notice I can stop talking after that. Notice I can just stop talking right away. I'm just like, okay, this one has a reversal signal. None of the other ones did. This one does, and it's closer here on the MACD2 crossing, I would say. At least the actual initial cross is closer, and it's pretty close to the center line. So all of that leads me to believe this is a good look. And then if I go to AMD, I'm like, well, that thing's dropping off a cliff, but it has a divergence. Which one looks better, AMD or Nvidia? Nvidia looks better. Okay, cool. So if Nvidia confirms up, it might be better than the AMD play. Meta, if this one is a little bit different because the 2-hour did curl up. So if that 2-hour curls down, bad thing. So that one doesn't even look like a good play now. All right, let's go look at Microsoft. Microsoft has a little divergence here, but does that look better than Nvidia? I don't think so. I think Nvidia looks better. Google has one to argue about, but it's pretty steep drop here, right? It's not able to hold up a little bit like Nvidia. If you really go over and you look at something like Nvidia, you would say, hey, based on everything else, this might have just been like fall through the floor to 95.63, like Google kind of did. But now it's just kind of reacting down, giving you a pretty perfect little setup here if it can curl back up. So I just go through them and I go, which one has a reversal? This one. Which one looks like the easiest reversal? This one. I'm waiting for this to confirm. So I managed the trade briefly, and then I'm going to reapply the position with more money this time. Did that help, McFlash? Just let me know if that helps, all right? Did that make sense? How I'm kind of picking the stock. I'm not letting the stock just because I know the name, I know the company, I know Elon, I know whatever. Yeah, I'm more like which one actually looks good? Which ones look good? Let me look at those three. Okay, which one looks the best? Okay, I'm gonna take this one. And if you have enough money, you can always take both, right? You can be like, this one looks good, so I'm gonna apply this amount of money, but this one looks a little bit worse, so maybe I use a little bit less money, but take that as well. Joey wants to see Bitcoin. Let's go see Bitcoin. Joey. The only person I call Joey is my nephew. Why did I lose Bitcoin for a sec? Bitcoin dropping off pretty damn hard here. All right, so Bitcoin really saying, we're heading down. That's what Bitcoin is saying here. Right, you look at that daily scale, you go, we're heading down. August 5th, right? You know, just Joe talking about that August 5th level. Bitcoin is giving you the argument for the market's going to follow that move, right? Bitcoin's going to follow that move, maybe make a daily divergence or something like that. But for now, you would just say this is really, really bad to the downside. Most likely, we are going to gravitate into this zone. This zone kind of starts right about at, what, 53,000? So 53,000 would be probably the highest point you can hold up at, but you can go deeper and then watch if there's some kind of divergence on the daily scale. That would maybe convince me to buy some Bitcoin if that happened. But in the shorter time frames, you're getting rid of a lot of those reversal signals, right? So if you go even into a 4-hour, you're kind of getting rid of a lot of these signals. You're still kind of holding it, but it looks wonky. So I don't like when it looks wonky. I'm going to look for the one that doesn't. The daily scale, if that would create a divergence, that one could convince me to make a decision. The 4-hour looks too wonky to use it. You just got to be honest with your indicator. If your indicator looks confusing, then you don't want to be confused risking money, right? So don't be confused. Know your plan going into it. The plan here is very simple. We teach you how to manage trades in the course, in the technical indicators course down there, and in the swing trading course, but this is the technical indicators course. That's all you're going to use in there. So this here is telling me, okay, if this crosses up, I can take it, and then I know how to manage the trade. I'm never going to be confused. Just touch it. I want it to happen, Sid. Let's go, Sid. AMC and GME, yeah, they are curling down, but I think you're right to say 1.27% ain't bad when Nvidia's down 4.3%, Tesla down 5%, AMD down 4%, Google down almost 3%, Netflix down 2.5%, SMCI down 6%. So I think you're right in saying they are holding up a little bit better. 30-minute crosses for, ooh, GameStop not crossing on that 30-minute. Interesting. This is what I'm saying. If the market keeps dropping, GME and AMC might hold up. They might do better than hold up. Because now your collateral's at risk. So big things happening. PCC just increased to 1.165. 1.165. The only unfortunate thing about that is the dollar's going back to positive. End of day flash reversal. I think it's possible. Why is everything down? Well, most likely it has something to do with the jobs data and the fact that the if you look over on the Fed's website, they now have a 50-50 chance of raising by 50 basis points. You guys thought I was joking when Jerome Powell was talking and he said 25 basis points, and I was sitting there going, if he says 50 basis points, watch out. Now that 50 basis points is being priced in, people are starting to watch out, right? They're starting to sell stuff because they go, if they do 50 basis points, this can get really freaking ugly. That means they're reacting to something. Something is breaking. 25, nobody cares. 50, they start to question. And I think that you're seeing the selling because they're really questioning it. And then what's going to happen? If we're going to remain bullish for the next few months, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to show you. I'll show you. Where's the day? Where's that day? All right, Wednesday, September 18th. If we're going to remain bullish, then on this day right here with this Fed interest rate decision, you're going to get 25 basis points. You're going to get a 25 basis point cut, and everyone's going to go absolutely bonkers. If they do 50, they might be reacting to something bad. That's what I think takes place. If we see that bullish move, that's when I really would think it would happen. If you get 25 basis points, because I think that's the main reason it's dropping. Once they start to say 50, once they go, oh shit, we got it, right? Your friend's like, what's a good, there's not really a good analogy popping into my head for it, but for the most part, you would just say, they're like, oh yeah, 25 basis points because we're going to have a soft landing. What do you think now? We need to do 50 basis points now. Then you go, why? They go, we need to do 50 basis points now. That's it. Oh, now it says 27.73. Which direction, Christopher? Thoughts on the 5-minute time frame? I don't like anything really below the 30-minute. I'll use the 15-minute sometimes for triple divergences and things like that. That's more of like if you wanted a day play, maybe a 15-minute, but 30-minute, 2-hour, and daily are what I focus on. The reason, oh, favoring 25. Okay. See, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. But as far as it goes for a 5-minute, just know this. As the time frames decrease, you can see crazier and crazier and crazier thing, right? If I go into a 5-minute right now, I'm probably going to see a time where there's 1 million divergences or something like that, right? I'll see a time where there's divergences here and it barely plays out, comes down, and then it comes down to this level. Pretty much you're going to see crazier things, especially, look at this upside. Look at these upside plays. Were these great trades ever? Divergence. Violated when it got close. Divergence again. Like, you just see too many of them. So you're seeing like 20 divergences before you actually get a drop. Now, if you're playing the shorter time frames, you know how to day trade, maybe scalping or something like that. Like, I understand 5-minute can be useful, but it's just not necessarily the easiest thing to do. It's like 95% of day traders lose money. So I'm not trying to be one of those. I don't want a 5% chance to win every day. Now, I know that's skill-based, a lot of it, but for the most part, I would just say if you just do a 30-minute chart, you can take little week, 2-week, 3-week, 4-week plays, and they'll go well. Did the jobs numbers come out already? Yes. You had a high non-farm payrolls. You had a major revision of the last non-farm payrolls, so I would expect that non-farm payrolls to be revised again next month. And you had a 4.2 versus a 4.3. So you had a 4.2% unemployment rate showing it reducing by 0.1%, meaning that that could be seen as all bullish things, right? Higher non-farm payrolls, lower unemployment. The problem there is the revision. I think the revision's a big problem, and people reading into the U6 unemployment as well, going up pretty high. So weirdly enough, I don't think the jobs data was like garbage. I think that's what you actually kind of wanted to see for a little bit of an upside move, but I think that revision is a big deal, and the uninversion taking place this week is going to be causing things to be a little rough. Literally no trades till this afternoon. Yeah, this is the only one I'm watching, and it's like watching paint dry. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go get myself some lunch. I think it's a good time for a break, and I'm going to try to be live by later this afternoon. Don't hold me to it, but make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because most likely I will be coming back by the end of the stream to see if there's some kind of rigged move. I just want to make sure that I have time, so I don't want to fully commit to that just yet. But keep those notifications on, because I might be back in the last hour of trading. Hopefully everyone was able to learn a little bit today. McFlash, thank you so much for your questions. I think they were fantastic today. A lot of people asking great questions. Some people even grabbing the course. Thank you if you already grabbed it. I really respect you for dedicating some of your weekend to learning. I think that's awesome. But you guys also know I'm still going to do it every single Friday. Make sure to treat yourself well this weekend in some way, especially if you had some kind of win. Treat yourself to a little reward. Enjoy that positivity for a moment, and then center yourself down. Get right back to being grounded and ready to go into next week with some fire, all right? But treat yourself. Even if you took a loss this week, go spend some time with family, do something fun for yourself. I think that's the more important thing. And if you want to dedicate some time to learning like some of you have chosen to do, you're more than welcome to come back to the live show on Monday. Let me know how you liked it. And then two, if you're still looking to actually go and grab those courses, I'm going to leave them up on sale because this market's crazy. So we're just going to leave it for a little bit longer, 90% off still. So you can get both courses down there, learn how to swing trade, learn how to trade using all your technical indicators and some technical analysis for $150. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to treat yourself this weekend. I'm going to go treat myself to a nice lunch, so I think you should too. Have a great, great day, and keep those notifications on, because I most likely will be back by later today. It just depends on how long I'm spending time with family this afternoon. So I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Have a great one. Peace.